So we're now at the point where we're teaching actors how to feel real emotions in imaginary circumstances, how to build a real working mindset for use on the stage. Well, I'm simply making the argument, why are we working so much harder to build imaginary people than real people? If we're teaching people how to use real emotions, why aren't we teaching kids in elementary school before they hit adolescence how to use their emotions before they explode on them? So we can arm them beforehand so they can learn how to use their emotions. Now, when they hit adolescence, they're good. And people in general, in life, like I said, this is a way to think in the moment.
Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, helping you discover wisdom that speaks to your own journey. Today, I'm joined by James Rojas Taylor, a former Marine-turned-actor who spent decades exploring the human experience through theater and storytelling. Jim has this fascinating perspective on how we can use the tools actors develop, emotional awareness, presence, and authenticity to navigate our everyday lives with more intention and clarity. So let's settle in and hear the quote that has guided Jim's remarkable journey of self-discovery. Tell me
My
your
name is
name.
James. Yes. My name is James Julian Rojas Taylor,
Yeah.
and I'm here trying to present mental and emotional literacy.
Okay. So what's your favorite quote?
It's hard to say what my favorite quote is because there's so many out there. I don't know. It's like it depends how I feel, because that's the issue with me, is because I have done what I've done, I don't have many favorites because I change. I've developed myself in so many different ways that it's allowed me to see so many different things. But if I had to pick something right off the bat, I think it would be one I have it tattooed on my arm, and it's burn the fat off your soul. And I heard it from a movie. It was a Jarhead. It was an American film about the U.S. Marines.
Yeah, I've watched that movie.
Yeah, there's a part where he says, like, we're Marines, we burn the fat off our soul. And, like, that hit me, really connected with me.
Wow, that's, I never paid attention to that aspect. Yeah.
Because, again, we focus on our body, but we focus on our exterior body, but how many of us really focus on our interior body, our spirit, who we are?
When you burn the fat off our souls, what does that even mean?
Well, like I said, it's kind of like when we go to the gym, we exercise our body to make a healthier, stronger body, right? To make us leaner, to make us more flexible, to make us move better in the world. Well, we can do the same thing with our spirit, with our soul. Because if we stay stagnant, I can say this in the States, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I know here in the States, most Americans live the same day over and over again for 50 years. They do the exact same thing. They don't change. So how are they growing and developing themselves? It's kind of like how Americans just don't do anything with their bodies, and our bodies swell up and get fat because we ain't doing nothing. Well, it's the same thing. If you put garbage in and out of your mind, 0-calorie thoughts, that are full of fat, your mind is just going to grow sluggish. You're not going to develop yourself. You're not going to think fast. You're not going to be able to think on your feet. You're not going to be able to move things in the world. You're just going to lie there like a slug. That's what it means.
Fat off your souls. Your mind needs to be fit.
Mm-hmm. Your mind and emotions, because these are things that we have. They're powerful. It's just we don't develop them. If we developed them, we would be a different species.
Now, when said born, if it was real, even if it was real, if it was physical, right, or body, burning doesn't necessarily mean putting in fire and stuff like that. So in this context, what would it take to actually burn the fat of our souls?
Well, that's kind of what I'm presenting. All right. What I am presenting is a new way to be human inside, to teach us how to be, because nobody ever sits you down and say, hey, little Johnny, this is how your mind works. Or, hey, little Susie, this is how your emotions work. We just got to figure it out along the way. And I'm saying that's not the right way to do it, because this is the new form of literacy that's coming up. Now, think about this. Let's say people couldn't read and write. Like here in the States, if nobody could read and write, the only way to learn to read and write was to find a coach or a tutor or someone that would teach you. We would be a lot worse off as a country. Well, if we start teaching people how to use their mind and emotions, we're making them leaner. We're making their spirit have more fortitude, and that will allow them to be better people. And what I'm presenting is a system that was created about 100 years ago by actors. And what I'm saying is we've developed, like if you look at the last 2,500 years of Western acting going back to the Greeks, the first 2,100 years are what people think acting still is: pretending, masking, representing. The 300 years that followed, it kind of, I'm oversimplifying, but it moved into naturalism and realization. But in the 1900s with this cat named Konstantin Stanislavski, he was a Russian actor, philosopher, but he changed acting. He created a new system to allow us to live truthfully in imaginary circumstances. So we're now at the point where we're teaching actors how to feel real emotions in imaginary circumstances, how to build a real working mindset for use on the stage. Well, I'm simply making the argument, why are we working so much harder to build imaginary people than real people? If we're teaching people how to use real emotions, why aren't we teaching kids in elementary school before they hit adolescence how to use their emotions before they explode on them? So we can arm them beforehand so they can learn how to use their emotions. Now, when they hit adolescence, they're good. And people in general, in life, like I said, this is a way to think in the moment. I kind of think like this, like a submarine, right? It's got no windows. It can't see. How does it know where to go? Why doesn't it run into stuff? Why don't it smack into whales? The answer is sonar. Sonar gives the submarine situational awareness. It sends out a ping. That ping bounces off of subs, whales, rocks, surface vessels, whatever, and it gives it all the information you need. The Stanislavski system is based on 7 questions. These 7 questions are used to ground the actor's character in the moment. Well, I'm saying we all human beings have character. We hear it all the time. Work hard, build character, don't lie. It affects your character. Well, we can take these 7 questions to develop our own character. And here they are real quick. Number 1 is, who am I? This is the moment in relation to you. Number 2, where am I? This is the moment in relation to the environment. Number 3, when is it? This is the moment in relation to time. Number 4, what do I want? This is the moment in relation to purpose. Number 5, why do I want it? This is the moment in relation to desire. Number 6, how do I get it? This is the moment in relation to action. And number 7, what do I need to overcome? This is the moment in relation to obstacles. Like, these aren't just acting questions. These are life questions that people never ask. How many people ever ask, like, what do you want? I don't know. I never thought about it. Bro, why do you deserve it? If you aren't thinking about these things in the moment, how are you supposed to get them? You're hoping someone else will give them to you? That ain't the way the world works. So what I'm saying is, if we start stepping in, and this is just one of many, but if we start stepping into this and start using these tools and techniques to develop us as people, we will grow in ways that we don't even understand yet.
Yeah. I just want you to touch on a bit, right? With a context or a scenario, touch on a bit or for each of the questions on how one
Absolutely.
would navigate for a specific scenario. I know you're trying to
Absolutely.
give us the overview, but just want to zoom in a bit.
Sure thing. Number 1, who am I? Excuse me. This is kind of, what role do you play in life? If you're talking to your wife, it's a quick question you have to ask yourself. Who am I in this moment? Am I here to help her, or am I here to listen to her? If I'm talking to my kids, am I a father? Am I a brother? Am I a husband? Am I a coworker? Am I the boss? And when you're in a team effort, if you know your role, you can play better as a team. If you don't know your role, then most people have these situations where everybody wants to chief and nobody wants to be the brave, because nobody wants to accept what their role is. So it's important to understand that. Now, where am I? This is basically how you see the environment around you. Because if you start noticing the environment, you can see what patterns happen in the environment, what advantages you have in that environment. Time as well. Like, when is it? Like, am I going to talk to my boss right before he had lunch over something difficult? Or should I wait till after he's had his lunch? Or am I about to go out on the road before rush hour traffic? Understanding time matters, because our lives are tied to time very, very nicely. So if we start taking that factor in, we can start seeing the things that normally most people don't see. Most people don't see these things because they don't think to ask these questions. So it's allowing us to take in more information. What do I want? This is what your purpose is. What do you want in life? Not just in life, but what am I wanting today? What do I want to accomplish today? So it's knowing that is allowing you for a direction to go in. Number 5, why do I want is important, because if you don't understand the why, someone else can hijack your why and you're doing their what. So basically you're building their dream. How do I get it? This is basically what your plan is.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
If I want something, what is the plan that I'm going to put into place to get that thing for me? Or what do I need to do? And then number 7, the obstacles, like if I'm going to a job interview, okay, how many applicants are there? What are their skills versus my skills? What is this job asking for? Is the boss someone I can work with? So it's asking all of these questions to give yourself situational awareness, because all you're doing is giving yourself more information so you can make better choices in the moment. Most of us feel lost in the moment. And what happens is after something happens, we're racking, oh, I should have said this. I should have thought that. This is what I should have done. Well, this prevents that, because this is proactive, not reactive. These 7 questions allow you to see those choices before you step into the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what acting is. You create this space in your mind so you can rehearse what you're going to do before you actually do it. So you can make the mistakes in here, not out there in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Wow. Well, the struggle I have right now is that people don't even spend time to sit down and reflect. Say to even spend some time to ask questions. They are constantly moving. Like they're always in a hurry. I don't know where they're hurrying to, but like there is the last time they actually had 5 or 10 minutes to them where they sat down and they did nothing. They can't even remember.
Well, I mean, it's difficult too, because you're right. With the internet, the world moves so fast, but that's part of it. That's how, because if you think about it, like the 1%, the ruling class, think tanks, politicians, all these people spend billions upon billions of dollars every year to figure out how the masses, all of us, the populace, how we think, how we feel, how we behave, so they can control how we move in life, how we vote, how we purchase. That's what you're talking about there, is that fast pacing where people don't think. We've been bred to be this way. It's kind of like that whole notion where algorithms only go for 7 seconds because a human can only handle 7 seconds. That's a lie. Yeah. They want you to believe that. They want us to believe that because you can't do anything in 7 seconds. Now, if you start building yourself internally, you grow past that, and you grow stronger than they can control. Because they only can control people because people aren't developed. Once we start developing ourselves, their control breaks off, and then we take control of our own lives, and that's the way it should be. And it's up to us to slow down enough to see that, because we can play the rat race. We can play the game, and I know it's difficult, but once we all do it, then we can change the world. Now, this isn't something that one person can change or a few people. We have to collectively do this. And if we get together and recognize it, this is like when we gave the world written literacy in the form of reading and writing, it changed the world, yeah? When we gave the world numerical literacy in the form of mathematics, it changed the world. Well, I'm making the same argument. If we give the world mental and emotional literacy, it's going to change the world for the better, and it's going to help the masses, because that's what literacy does. It helps all people, not a few. Like when back in the day when only the rich people, like in the dark ages when only rich people could read and write, they had all the power. It's like even now, if someone gave a person a contract who couldn't read and write, how do they know what's in the contract? This is how manipulators work. If you don't understand how your mind and emotions work, how can you stop someone from manipulating you?
Yeah.
You don't have the literacy to prevent that. So what I'm saying is, once you gain these skills and learn these tools and techniques, you become someone who can't be manipulated so easy. You have protection against these things, and now you can step out in the world with more confidence. Like, here's another thing. In acting world, we have something called stage fright. What is stage fright? Stage fright is not knowing your lines, not knowing your beats, not knowing the moments. It's not knowing. How do we beat stage fright? We ask questions. We learn our beats. We learn the moments. We figure out what we have to do. Now, in life, what is stage fright? It's insecurity. People are insecure. Why are you insecure? Because you don't know your beats. You don't know the moments. You don't know the things. If you start learning how to ask questions about your insecurities, you will defeat your insecurities. You build yourself out of those insecurities. And that's what I'm saying we should do.
Emotional, one of the things that fascinates me, because usually I just entertain thoughts in my mind, right? Is the fact that the core things that affect the entirety of people's life is not taught in school. Things like financial literacy, emotional literacy, mental literacy. These are things that affect you and the people around you. Like, I can't remember when there was a course or a subject or something that taught me, like, oh, this is how you deal with your emotion. Oh, this is how you deal with money or stuff like that. None of those stuff. I can't. There's none. Maybe in the US they teach you guys there, but over here there was nothing like that in the curriculum. So now I'm wondering. I'm like, so what do you guys expect us to do?
Well, I think it's part of the it's a plan, because I can, again, speaking for the U.S., Yeah, we have an education system, but that education system teaches every American to be the same person. It's not teaching, how to be open, how to look out the world, diversity. It's the opposite. Because if the powers that be get all the people to be trained to be the same person, they're easier to control. If we start teaching them mental literacy, emotional literacy, financial literacy, all of those things to make us more integrated into the world and more formidable as a being, then we're harder to control. That's why I'm saying this is something that we have to take into our own hands and do for ourselves because, some parts of the world are changing, but most are still stuck in the past where it's all about power. It's not about growth.
Yeah,
And if we
yeah.
start moving in this direction, we're going to grow and develop into more spectacular human beings. Like we can be the most, if we started teaching this in schools, we would raise the most mentally and emotionally capable human beings we've ever seen in this world.
Emotional literacy. And now I'm just going through the questions you've said so far. Who am I right now? Right. And it changes with situation. Right. Before
Yes.
I hopped on this podcast, I was someone else. Right now, I'm a podcast host. Right. And so the decisions I'm making, I'm like, what would a podcast host do? Right. If I was to be, you are a podcast guest, if we were to switch places now, there are things that, you're thinking, the way you're approaching, I will start thinking that way. And when is it? Right. Wow. This is life changing. Wow.
Like I said, it's a new way to be human, and it's just been overlooked because this knowledge has been sitting with the actors. And who looks to the theater kids for world-changing knowledge? It's just been sitting there for 100 years because you have to appreciate. If you look at artists and what they work with, like metal workers work with metal, glass workers work with glass,
Yeah.
musicians work with instruments and composition. What does the actor work with? What's the marble that the actor chisels? That's the human mind and emotions. We create ourselves into other human beings truthfully, simply, to allow us to exist in this world as someone else. Well, in the process, they created all the hammers, chisels, and scrapers, all the tools we needed to do this. So what I'm saying is now that they've created the tools, let's give them to everyone else. Because even when they were creating them, they didn't create them to give the world's mental and emotional literacy. They did it to perfect the art of acting. It just happened that the art of acting is the human mind and emotions, and that's the kicker. When they started shaping that, they did it for all of us because we don't have a mind and emotions for the stage and a mind and emotions for real life. It's one and the same. So these tools work on all of us. It's like the Meisner technique teaches how to read behavior. That's very important. If you're going into negotiations, if you're going into sales, if you're going into a place that's kind of sketchy, you want to be able to read human behavior to get a leg up. It's kind of like how they talk about that gut feeling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's somebody experiencing something so much that they understand their environment. Well, that's a teachable skill. And that's what I'm saying. It's not something somebody just has or born with it or not. You can learn how to do that. There's another thing. Have you ever heard of something called the it factor?
If factor.
Yeah, IT, like they have it. That person just has it. There's something special about them. There's je ne sais quoi.
No, I know the it, but I've never heard of the it factor.
It's mostly in like entertainment and stuff. It's like when they have a star who's just, they hit all their points. Everything they do is just something that's, magnetism. Well, it's always been something mysterious. But giving mental and emotional literacy, what I'm talking about is giving vocabulary to these things. Because the it factor is something that if you could learn these skills, it's very valuable. Even as like a podcast host or as, a salesman going into a meeting or something like that, being able to activate these parts of yourself. And what I'm saying is there's 5 learned skills. This isn't absolute. I'm just saying I know 5 learned skills that if you learn these skills, you can produce the it factor in yourself. And here they are real quick. First one is active listening. This is the ability to truly engage in conversation with someone. This makes them feel interesting and valued, thus like having you around. Number 2 is charm. Charm is something called charisma or magnetism, and this is the ability to draw people towards you. Your core attraction may be that you're passionate or you have intelligence or something else, but the important thing is that you display it with an easy charm, with no arrogance. Instead, when people are around you, they feel like you elevate them. Number 3 is intensity. It's the ability to exercise a force of presence. Whatever you bring it hard. You don't need to dominate, but when you speak, you can't be ignored. Number 4 is generosity. You're so self-confident, so present in the moment that you're looking for ways to give to others. And number 5 is poise. It's a term that's sometimes used mysteriously, but it's simply the ability to use nonverbal communication, posture, gesture, expression to do work for you. Like I said, those are 5 learnable skills, but when you put them together, in the moment, you will present that it factor. It'll be that magnetism where people want to be around you, they'll want to hang around you, they'll think there's something special about you when it's really you just know how to read and write, you know how to count. It's just literacy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, this is I'm just wow. This is really, really
Like I said,
valuable.
this is profound knowledge. It's been collecting dust. You know, we can change because the reason I saw this, because this goes back to my childhood. When I was 4 years old, my parents took me to midnight mass. And for whatever reason, the concept of eternity freaked me out. You know, I realized if there's no end, there can be no middle. If there's no middle, it's just a perpetual beginning. 100,000 eons from now, I'm still going to exist. And what freaked me out was like, what do I do when I do everything many times over? What do I do with the rest of eternity when I've accomplished everything? You know, I was scared of boredom, going crazy with being bored. So what I did as a 4-year-old was I regressed back into my mind and I started treating it like a supercomputer, you know, because that's what it is. The human mind's a supercomputer. I'm not saying that. Scientists say that. And I started creating programs. 2 of my earliest were my suits and bubbles. My suits were different versions of me. Anytime I met someone, I would actively listen to them. I would take in everything I could to recreate them as a version of me inside my health so I can see the world through their eyes. My bubbles were like the holodeck in the Star Trek universe. It can be anytime, any place, anywhere. So what essentially I did was create a proving ground for myself so I can take myself, put myself in these suits, put them in bubbles, and recreate any experience I wanted over and over and over again until I found the right answers. And that's what allowed me to move through life. So it's kind of like this, where have you ever heard of code switching?
Yeah.
Code switching is a
Code.
linguistics term. Yeah, well, this is like hyper code switching with these suits. So essentially, I made a whole different wardrobe of myself that I could step in and out of. And it's kind of like if I went to the beach, I wouldn't wear a tuxedo. Maybe if I was a wedding, but generally I wouldn't wear a tuxedo because it's not the right place and time for that. Well, people rarely change who they are on the inside. Everywhere they go, they're the same person. They expect the world to change for them. Well, that's like wearing a tuxedo to the beach and getting mad because you got sand in it. You know, you got to learn how to change yourself on the inside to adapt to the situation instead of forcing the situation, which you can't control, to adapt to you. So it's giving you a superpower to move freelier in the world.
Yeah. Oh,
That makes sense.
thank you so much, Jim. Yeah, I think the last time we spoke on my other podcast, you know, it was it was audio only. But yeah, I don't think because looks like this is like the first time I'm seeing your face.
Yeah, like I said, it's just this. I got latched onto this, and I just recognize the importance of it. And honestly, I shouldn't be the one. It should be someone smarter than me giving this information out, but no one else is. That's why I'm out here doing it, because I don't see anyone else doing it, not in this level, to this degree. I mean, mental and emotional literacy is being talked about, but it's mostly just like I said, like tutors and stuff like that. They're giving you small bits and pieces where I tripped over a whole system. It's like, you know, if nobody could read, I found vocabulary, sentence structure, dictionaries. I have the whole system laid out, and I didn't create it. Professional artists created it. I'm just pointing to it and saying we need to start doing this.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gene, for
Absolutely.
sharing with us and for sharing generously. For people who want to learn more about this, right? Who they've had some light bulb moments in their head and like, see, I want to go deeper. I want to learn more about these things. The things he's talking about. Where can they do that?
There's a couple different places. I have a website. It's www.tbcenterprises.com. That's TBC like Tango Bravo Charlie. You can also check me out on my social medias. I operate under Soy Candy, SOICANDIE. I got a Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky. I think something else, YouTube. And I wrote a book about this too. It's called All Your Best Selves. It's how the Performing Arts Toolkit can help you thrive anytime, any place, anyone. And you can get it on Amazon right now, but it breaks down the system. It goes through the Stanislavski system, all 7 questions. Meisner technique, 3 of their exercises, Uta Hagen's 10 exercises, and a couple of improv exercises as well. And the way I set it up is first I talk about how we use them as actors, and then I talk about how you can use them in life and give examples. So there's a lot of actionable tools in the third part of the book that you can use to explain this to you.
Thank you so much once again for sharing with us these valuable literacy tips on emotion.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm glad I could share it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure chatting with you. You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.